Thank you for that fabulous introduction. As you heard, I have been in the business of public education for almost 30 years. Many of you know me as the district's chief financial officer, sometimes your chief financial worrier, sometimes your chief financial warrior. But today I'm proud to stand before you as the superintendent for Federal Way Public Schools. Last May, I was appointed by the board of directors to serve as the superintendent through June of 2015, while a nationwide search is conducted for a permanent superintendent. I'm honored by the trust and confidence the school board has expressed in my leadership abilities and humbled by the expressed respect and support of students, parents, staff, and community members. I look forward to competing for the continued honor of serving our 22,000 students, 17,000 families, 3,000 staff members in the greater Federal Way community. Philosophically, I believe public education is the backbone of our democracy. And what John Dewey stated a century ago is now, I think, as relevant and as important as ever. And you'll have to forgive the gender bias in the statement, but what the best and wisest parent wants for his or her own child, that is what the community must want for all of its children. Any other ideal for our schools is narrow and unlovely and destroys our democracy. Thanks to Deputy Superintendent Mark Davidson for sharing that quote with me, because I believe it embodies my personal philosophy. As I move potentially to slide 3, I would like to state that I also know that public education is not simple. Students come to us with different needs every day, which require different solutions. Quite frankly, it's messy. While this picture reflects education at its early learning stages, this is my 11-month-old grandson and his mom's recent text message to me. I'm proud to say that this district has a history of asking the hard questions, that we're willing to get messy, to get to real solutions, to make great educational opportunities for all of our students a reality. So I think this slide really, depicts the fact that we all make plans in our lives, and you have to have a plan. You have to know where you're starting from and where you want to get, and yet reality creeps into our lives every single day. But I wanted to take a little bit of time today to reflect on some of the plans that this district has made and we have implemented. So, for example, more than 10 years ago, we recognized that our very first learners that come to public school, our kindergarten students, were not always ready for kindergarten. One research-based solution is to provide more time in the classroom. So at the beginning of this century, it's kind of fun to say that, at the beginning of this century, we only had 5 kindergarten classrooms in the whole district that provided instruction all day. And over time, since the beginning of this century, we've been able to expand the number of our kindergarten students served, and we were also able to see and measure changes in student outcomes. And I'm pleased to tell you that this is the 2nd year now that every kindergarten student has the opportunity to attend school all day. That's 1,650 kindergarten students in 95 classrooms in Federal Way. Other examples of expanding opportunities include programs you've heard about before, but are worth reemphasizing. It includes our continued commitment to AVID, advancement by way of individual determination. It includes automatically enrolling students in advanced coursework based on state assessment scores, and offering the opportunities for every high school student to take the College Board's preliminary scholastic aptitude test or the final scholastic aptitude test, otherwise known as the PSAT and SAT, during the school day. Fee-free, during the school day, fee-free. All help create This all helps create a strong foundation for our students to be prepared for a career in college. From our last graduating class, the class of 2014, many of those graduates benefited from the state's College Bound program, which provides financial support at our state colleges in terms of tuition and books, and many more actually Our students garnered over $11 million in scholarships this last year because of some of their fantastic work, which you're going to get to hear a little bit more about. If you're a parent of a student in the district, how many of you are parents of students in the district or were or have been? You may have noticed over the last 2 years, perhaps you've noticed that we've been deliberate about eliminating fees for students to participate in a broad range of educational activities. We have been deliberate and thoughtful about our taxpayers. Since I know I'm speaking to our business community and our homeowners too, we've been very deliberate and thoughtful about taxes. For the local educational programs and operations levy, just renewed this last February by our voters, so thank you very much. I want to assure you that that annual collection amount has been held constant for 4 consecutive years. I'm also thankful to our voters and taxpayers, while in the middle of the Great Recession, for actually voting yes to increase taxes for a 6-year period to rebuild Federal Way High School, upgrade elementary playgrounds, and enhance security systems. We are a third of the way through this temporary, and I emphasize temporary, it will go away after 6 years, tax increase, and are excited for construction to begin on our new flagship school. I don't believe that the greater Federal Way community is important just because of the tremendous financial support provided to the school district, but because of the commitment made to support public education. This commitment is reflected by you, by your attendance here today, and by our community in a variety of ways. Some of those examples include serving on advisory boards for career and technical education committees. I'd like to give a shout out to some of those leaders that are here today. Bridget O'Connor from Red Canoe Credit Union, Ken Clark from Sparks Car Care, and Gina Duckett from Woodstone Credit Union have all been leaders with our career and technical education advisory committee. So take a minute to stand up. And let me say thank you. Many of you also support our students by mentoring our students. This has been spearheaded through communities and schools for a number of years. And many of you support our students through your engagement in a variety of civic clubs and for advocacy for the needs of our community. The support provided by the mayor and city council, most recently by saving the King County Health Department for our community, to city staff, particularly in land use and development, and of course the Federal Way Police Department are all integral to our students' success. And as Dr. Jack Birmingham mentioned, the program offerings with Highline College are another indication of our creative partnerships that leverage the resources that both of these entities have. I think it's fair to state that our greater Federal Way community is a microcosm of our country, of the United States of America. We've seen dramatic shifts in demographics, technology, innovation, and economic globalization. These are realities for this and future generations. These changes are also happening in our schools, and when coupled with the demand for higher accountability, are driving significant changes in our classrooms. I have a very short video to share with you because it may have been a while since some of you have seen a classroom. 40 seconds. Thank you. All right. So, of course, not all instruction takes place in the classroom. We know it takes place in our community. We know it takes place in our home. But wherever it takes place, whether it's in one of our 1,425 classrooms, 95 kindergarten classrooms, 1,425 classrooms, or in the University of Washington laboratory, or on a hike in one of our local woodlands, you will find instruction is significantly more rigorous and in-depth than what we experienced even a decade ago. Our teachers challenge students to dig deeper, analyze and debate questions, and think more critically. This is to prepare our students to engage in a complex, globally connected world. For this, our students need to be good thinkers and not just good test takers. Which brings me to the subject of the new state assessment. There's always something new in public education, right? There always is. Beginning in March, students across the country in 21 states, in all 295 school districts in the state of Washington, and in our very own Federal Way schools, will be taking the new Smarter Balanced Assessment. It is new, and in some ways very different. But let me remind you, we've been here before. Since the Washington State Legislature's passage of Substitute House Bill 1209 in the 1990s, when that was first passed, that was our first set of definitions that defined expectations for student outcomes. There have been a progression of state standards and tests. Some of you may have been around long enough to remember some of these acronyms. ELERs, the Essential Academic Learning Requirements, the GLEs, or GLEs, the grade level expectations, and the more recently adopted Common Core State Standards. Again, these are the Washington State standards that students that are instructed in the classroom and students are assessed against. Those assessments have also progressed over time. How many of you remember the WASL, the Washington Assessment of Student Learning? The Washington Assessment of Student Learning became the MSP and the HISP and EOCs, okay, the Measurement of Student Progress, the High School Proficiency Exam, and the End of Course Assessments. It's now actually been replaced by Smarter Balanced. We don't have a great acronym for that one yet, so Smarter Balanced. Please be aware, I just want to put this little kernel out there. Please be aware that each time the test changes, we see a temporary drop in scores. I urge you to keep this in mind. A state assessment is but a single measurement at a single point in time. And the same test is given to all students in that grade level. Using that single assessment to gauge the quality of our schools is like going to the doctor and assuming an elevated temperature means you're at death's door. It's a single indicator. Should it be ignored? I'm not saying that. Absolutely not. It should not be ignored. However, it should be taken in context with other quantitative and qualitative indicators. And speaking of quantitative and qualitative indicators, your Federal Way Public Schools Board of Directors has adopted a set of goals. Under policy governance, those goals are referred to as ends. Also under policy governance, it is the superintendent's responsibility to interpret these goals and provide evidence to the board of our reasonable progress towards obtaining each of those 4 ends. This year, I have been leading internal conversations to establish a set of targets that focus on what really matters to our students here in Federal Way. As each of the ends reports are presented this year, these measurements of progress will also be presented. At this point in time, whether we ultimately achieve every established benchmark, great success occurs in our schools every day. So today I'm pleased to introduce to you some guests because I know you don't really just want to hear from me. I have a parent and 3 current seniors who have been part of the district since elementary school. I have with me today Penny Howard, proud parent of 3 students, Erica Pagis, a current senior at the Technology Access Foundation Academy, and 2 Federal Way High School seniors, Hawa Elias and James Huakawa. And at this point in time, I am going to turn the microphone over to Penny so she can talk to you about her role as a parent in Federal Way.
So I get to talk to you about the 4th end that was listed up there. I'm here to share parent engagement. First of all, do you know that Federal Way Public Schools Family and Community Partnership Office was featured in the Harvard Family Research Project publication on successful practices for how school districts promote family engagement? Most of you, I'm sure, don't know. I'm proud to say that that is the case for our school district. We are one of only 6 districts in the country to be applauded and modeled after for our efforts in promoting family engagement. 6. That's a big deal. Federal Public Schools Family and Community Partnership Office exists to support student success by supporting their parents. Through programs such as the Partnership 101, parents are able to share and learn ideas for developing and learning potential of all children, not just our own. Most of us do have our own children's goals in mind, but this is not just for us, this is for all. Sharing tips for navigating the school system, collaborating on ideas to help parents be effective advocates, providing tools so parents can support their students, to supporting teachers and staff who work to engage parents in our schools. A number of elementary schools at this point have full-time family liaisons on staff to assist families in being informed, being prepared, and being involved. I'm equally proud to say that I'm one of the first parents to have participated in this Partnership 101 process. I was able to apply what I've learned to my own children's education. I wanted to learn how to successfully navigate the education system so that the needs of my children at that time could be met. I've been able to apply these principles not only to my own children's primary and secondary education, but also now to my son's collegiate educational needs. I strongly feel that the workshop has benefits that exceed beyond the K-12 years. Part of the Partnership 101 process is to pass on to others what you have learned. I've trained and walked alongside other parents in the Partnership 101 process to ensure success for their students. Again, as I say, not just my own. It does take a village. Why promote success? Because parents who are involved in their children's education have more opportunities to help them make good choices and encourage greater levels of confidence. What can you do to promote this success? Well, you can talk to your student. When they come home, talk to them, discuss their assignments that they've gone through during that day. Ask what they've learned. Ask them to teach it to you. Attend student-led conferences, which we all know we love. How can you promote your student success? Well, connect with other parents, connect with the staff at the schools. Experience for me has been the best teacher, and I'm sure as many of us in this room can say that is true. Don't try to reinvent the wheel, I always say. Try using what worked for someone else. And where should you promote success in school? Well, as always, it starts in the home. Talk about goals, visions for the future, and encourage them to engage in positive activities in their schools and communities. This partnership has benefited our family, and so that I could effectively advocate on behalf of my own children, whether it was either of them having issues at school with their academics. I've been able to cooperatively partner with the teachers and devise a plan that would benefit my student. Knowing my rights and whom I could contact when I had questions, what resources were available to me, were all tools that I learned in this advocacy or Partnership 101 process. With each of my students enrolled in some of Federal Way School District's more rigorous programs, such as Cambridge International. My daughter is Erica Badish. She is registered at TAPA, Technology Access Foundation Academy. And their involvement in these pre-college programs, it necessitates my engagement if I want to see them succeed at their highest level. I'm proud to say that my eldest son, Devin, has graduated last year with honors from Federal High School. He now attends the University of Washington and is currently enrolled in the State Academic Redshirt STARS program. He is an engineering student in a fifth-year program. My daughter, who is a senior, as was said, at TAPA, is also a high school intern at the Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Center and is preparing for her next stage in her academic season of life. And my youngest child is a 9th grade student at the Federal Way High School, currently enrolled in the Cambridge academics. In my opinion, our family clearly demonstrates the benefits of parental engagement in a student's life. Thank you for letting me share.
I appreciate the personal conversation with this very large group. Erica, next up we have Erica Pickies, who will talk to you a little bit about her journey through Federal Way schools. Donna Bogle was her principal when she was at Woodmont Elementary K-8. So Donna, stand a minute. recognized APA too, so thank you.
Hi, I'm a senior at Taft Academy, as my mom mentioned and McLean mentioned. I have been at Taft since I was in 6th grade, so this is my 6th year there. Long time. I have always kind of knew that I wanted to do something that would impact the world, not just where I lived. So I had that in my mind all through elementary school, and I had always been kind of constantly reminded of it as I went through my elementary school. And then when I hit 7th grade, my teacher told me a quote that I'm never going to forget, and it's by Gandhi, and it's "Be the change you want to see in the world." So that is one quote that has stuck with me through everything. 2 years ago, or 2 summers ago now, I went to Costa Rica for my very first outside the country trip, because I don't really count Canada as part of the country. I got to spend 10 days in Costa Rica, which was the most eye-opening experience for me. It was also one of the most prominent experiences for me in high school, because there aren't very many students in high school that get to say, oh, hey, I got to go to Costa Rica. When I was in Costa Rica, they had a big focus on teaching students how to be a good global citizen. So once I had gotten there and I was being exposed to all this poverty, there's a lot of poverty there. I met orphans there. I was becoming aware of different diseases and things there. So when I came home from Costa Rica, but I love Costa Rica. I came home, and before I went to Costa Rica, that was the year I started my internship at Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Center. I came home and I decided that I had it in my mind. I was set. I'm going to, and it's still in my mind, I want to win the Nobel Prize, and I want to cure diseases, and I want to do things that actually make a big difference. So I think there's a picture over there. I went in the summer times at Fred Hutch. I do a full-time job, so 40 hours a work week, commuting to Seattle. It's an adventure. I did a project that is actually being used at Fred Hutch. I created an apparatus there, and I'm actually now co-authored in a scientific journal, which is really impressive. I don't think there's many students that get to see it. And because of this project, I have both local, state, and national science fair titles under my name that I get to fly to colleges with, which is not too shabby. So I got to go to a national competition, and now I'm actually continuing on. I'm done with that project. I'm doing a new project now with my school that connected me with Fred Hutch. So I'm working on a project that I get to work with people that need bone marrow transplantations. I'm looking for donors, and so what I'm planning to do now is to make educational series for different organizations and communities, and to recruit donors and keep them to help make a bigger difference. So the Desert Lake Public School District has always been there to encourage me and push me to make a global impact, and it's definitely starting to shine through, and I'm making a difference myself, whether it's small right now, it can become something bigger. So.
Gives you great hope, doesn't it? Gives you great hope. Next up, we have Hawa Elias. And Hawa Elias started in Federal Way Schools in the 4th grade at Brigadoon, so Principal Odell can be recognized as leading her on that path. David Brower was at Sackett Junior Middle School at the time. David, I know you're here. And now, of course, she's finishing her high school career at Federal Way High School, and we have Federal Way High School staff in the back. Stand up and get a shout out. So thank you so much.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Hawa, and as I was introduced, I'm a senior at Federal Way High School. And I want to talk about my experience with AVID, which stands for Advancement via Individual Determination. And that's a college preparatory class, but it's been a lot more than that for me. And it's helped me with 2 major things that have happened within this past year. The first one is I was able to get an interview for an internship at Microsoft, and it consisted of 5 different interviews within an hour and a half. and it was pretty nerve-wracking, and I saw like all the other kids were like really nervous, and so was I. But I felt that through Avid, I was given that self-confidence that I needed, and I was able to already have had the discussions about what I want to do with my future and what I wanted to be. And so I was able to articulate that to the interviewers because I knew myself, and I think if it wasn't for Avid and if it wasn't for my teachers, I wouldn't have been able to explore that part of myself. And so fortunately, I was able to get that internship, and now I'm commuting to Bellevue every single day after school, which is crazy. And yeah. And I've been it's been hard balancing senior year with everything, and if it wasn't, I think, for my Avid family, which is like a big part of my life, they've helped me balance all the things that I've been trying to juggle. And so I just want to thank Avid for allowing me to dream big and to see my future and to just set goals for myself. And then the second thing is the Motivate, Inspire, Change Conference. Some of you guys might have heard of that, and that stands for MIC. Well, we call it the MIC Conference, and we were able to have that last November, and in the Black Student Union and a part of the fourth day, which is Latino activism group at my school, we have been having the discussion of having that conference since last spring, and so it was really nice to see that play out and to see the success of it. The conference was essentially to have the dialogue between parents and students, because we felt that from minority families and from parents that are immigrants, there was not a lot of support and not a lot of push to advance onto higher education. And one of the problems with that was because our parents weren't aware of kind of the educational system and how to support us. And so we felt that tackling that problem from the students' perspective, we wanted to get our parents and the students in the same room and kind of open that window of communication and be able to really get our parents to understand us. And it was a huge success, and we were supported by staff across the whole district, and we worked with students at Thomas Jefferson High School, and so it was really nice to see that be a success. And I just want to thank Federal Way Public Schools for allowing their students to be able to engage in their own education and to create a pathway for me and for other students to succeed. So thank you guys.
So our last student speaker today is James Huakawa, who is also a senior at Federal Way High School. He started at Green Gables, and of course Margot Hightower is the principal currently at Green Gables, but when James was there, that was Todd Wood. He moved to Lakota, so Craig Tutt, Pam Tuggle. Pam Tuggle was the principal at that point in time, and now is also at Federal Way High School with that Federal Way High School leadership team. Very dynamic. Thank you, James.
Good afternoon. It's an honor for me to be here to talk to you guys today. So I'll be talking about my experience in JROTC, and program that I am is the Air Force Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps. And I'd say one person that stood by my side would be Lieutenant Colonel Randy Long. That's him back there. I'll tell you a story why I joined JROTC. When I was little, I always liked to see the skies. The sky was always beautiful. And one thing that caught my attention was the United States Navy Blue Angels. So when I look at them, I just had a dream. I just wanted to fly. I was the only family. I wasn't scared of heights. And one crazy story was we went camping, and there was a rock climb where you need a harness. And as we were climbing, I didn't want to listen to the instructor, so I wasn't paying attention. I accidentally climbed it without a harness. So when he said jump down, I jumped down, but I wasn't scared of heights. I fell, but it felt like nothing happened. I thought I was a blue angel flying in. So ever since I had that dream, my dad talked to me about military. I was scared of the military because people go to war. But then when I got into it more, I noticed 90% is support, 10% are going to battle. So when I had the chance of talking to one of the recruiters as back in middle school, that's how I met Master Sergeant Smith and Lieutenant Colonel Long. They guided me the way of how to become a great leader in the future, how to lead, how to serve, and I was inspired by it. And then when Lieutenant Colonel told me a story when he was a C-130 pilot, it was a funny story. I don't want to talk about it, but it gave me an inspiration to do better, not to fly, but to serve, and to be the best leader in the world. So back in October 6, 2014, I was nominated to go down to Washington, D.C. for the National Youth Leadership Forum, Careers in National Security. And when I went there, I learned more about the government. I learned about Homeland Security, CIA, FBI's. I had the chance to go down to the Pentagon to see what the responsibility they had. And as of right now, I'm a squadron commander down at Federal Way High School for the 52nd Eagle Squadron, and it's the biggest responsibility I ever had in my life. I had to lead at least 109 cadets by my side, but I didn't learn it because of what I did. I had leaders by my side. I had Colonel Long, Sergeant Smith, and most importantly, my dad. And then for me, I'm a Pacific Islander. We have cultures. You would always have responsibility, respect, and honor, and that's how I learned it. I'm honored to serve for the GRTC program, and I'm proudly glad to on for this country because it has done a lot for my family. Both my family were born in the island of Tonga. They moved to Australia because they want to get away from their poverty, and they worked hard for it. As they lived in Sydney, Australia for a few years, my dad was happy to get a visa to come down to America, and his dream was to serve for the military. He was 35 years old and he was kind of too old for it, but for now, I kind of want to take his legacy. I want to follow his dreams and I want to follow my dreams. I want to fly. So when I want to become a pilot for the United States Air Force, I'll gladly to show my dad how proud I am of him trying to take his job. And I learned a lot. As you see in this picture, this was down in Washington, D.C., in front of the White House. I met a lot of people. For the first time in my life, I've never been scared. I met the 4-star General of the United States Army. And I was proud to salute him. Not only that, he told me stories. I was very proud of the story he told me, and he gave me 4 key things. He gave me the 4 personalities, and then one personality he told me was the foundation. And the foundation of that personality should be honesty. Second, should be kindness. Third, should be humanity. And fourth, should be courage. And I took that 4th. I brought those 4 personalities when I came back from DC. This 4-star general taught me a lot of things, how to protect your brothers and sisters. And one movie actually brought up in my head, Band of Brothers in the Pacific. And that's what taught me how to become the best leader, brotherhood, and never leave a fallen man behind. Thank you.
So these voices that you've just heard, these voices are a true reflection of the school district's work. And it's not just this parent, Kenny Howard, and these 3 students. We have amazing parents and student leadership everywhere in our district. I have enjoyed so much seeing our student leaders as I've worked with Terry Hickel and Lawrence Garrett through Advancing Leadership, working with, we have students working with district leaders and the National Minority Student Achievement Network to lead race and equity conversations in our district. We have students organizing large fundraising events to support local organizations such as We Scare Hunger, gathering more than 8,000 pounds of food for the Multi-Service Center this last October. And we have students organizing conferences for their parents, working on district advisory committees, and leading a multitude of events in our schools. I am encouraged about the future of Federal Way and our country when I have the opportunity to meet with these student leaders. When I hear our students speak, I'm in awe of this next generation and more deeply touched by the amazing dedication of our teachers, our principals and staff, and our parents and community. So whether you prefer Hillary Clinton's phrase of "it takes a village," or Communities in Schools' motto of "schools can't do it alone," or any other phrase that you prefer, educating students is a collaborative effort, and I want to just take this moment to thank each of you. I am want to just give a quick shout out. I know I'm getting to my 10 minutes. And want to recognize some of our accomplishments. You may have noticed on your tables that there's a little magnet that says every day counts. So we know we have some difficulties still, some challenges in front of the district in order to really have every student meet their full potential. And as our data systems have become more robust, one of the things that has surfaced for us is rather an alarming statistic. Last year, in 2013-14, 30% of our students, that's almost 7,000 students, 30% of our students missed 15 or more days of school. So every day counts. And we've sort of started a soft drumbeat around attendance in conjunction with the Franciscan healthcare system, and thanks to Jenny Tibbetts, our BECA coordinator, to see if we can't change that. Because while we can do our best to have high quality instructors in every classroom, every minute of every day, if we don't have our students there, they're not getting the benefit of that instruction. So that's just one piece I want to share. I have lots of good news, but I also know we're out of time. And I don't want to forget the fact that our District 30 and 33rd representatives and senators, remember the school district's part of the Greater Federal Way, that I know this legislative session will be arduous. That's maybe going to be their favorite word. However, I know the constitutional obligation that defines public education as the paramount duty of the state will guide their conversations, deliberations, and debates. And I also recognize that we are not looking for the state to solve public education's funding issues by decimating either our social services or our higher education budgets. So it's going to be a tricky tightrope this season, but the board, Deputy Superintendent Davidson, and I stand ready to help. I am pleased to announce that Becca Martin will be helping to facilitate a conversation with our business community in our district to have a conversation about what businesses are looking for in employees. This is currently a live event that you can register for, and it's called Workforces of Choice. And in closing, yes, I really am in closing, you may have wondered about the opening slide. This was a representative picture of a kaleidoscope. Because personally, my vision is simple. I want each student to receive an excellent and equitable learning experience in Federal Way Public Schools, and I think we have the knowledge and expertise to fulfill this vision. I also firmly believe that we can make small shifts and obtain big gains, and for me, a kaleidoscope represents this belief. As I've stated, but want to close and re-emphasize, I truly believe our success is shared with you and as a reflection of our community's commitment to our children. I ask for your continued commitment and belief in our children. If you haven't been in our schools for a time, consider visiting our classrooms so that you can experience the same pride I feel. If you're wondering how to be part of something exciting and meaningful, your local school is the place to be. Thank you for being our 12th man and our 12th woman.